Have you ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of stress, where anxiety seems to dictate the pace of your life, and it seems like the world around you is constantly in chaos? Have you ever felt like things were out of your control, and no matter how hard you tried, the environment around you just wouldn't cooperate? But what if I told you that the true power to create the ideal, calm, and peaceful environment lies not in external control of circumstances, but within you? What if, instead of trying to change what is outside, you began to understand that true peace is something you can generate internally, regardless of what is happening around you? Imagine the serenity that would come when you realize that the calm you so desperately seek is already within your reach, waiting to be discovered within you. Are we looking for peace in the wrong place? Hello everyone, I'm Henrique Magalhaes, and now let's dive into Stoic wisdom to understand how internal control can completely transform our environment and consequently our lives. But first, I recommend that you subscribe to our channel and like the video. After that, let's watch the video. Stoic philosophy and the creation of the internal environment. For the Stoics, the environment that surrounds us is a direct reflection of our inner state. They believe that peace, calm, and contentment are not conditions imposed by the external world, but rather by how we react to circumstances. Stoicism teaches us that by controlling our emotions and perceptions, we create a bubble of tranquility that allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life with resilience. This central idea that you are responsible for your mental and emotional state may seem counterintuitive in the modern world, where we are constantly bombarded by distractions and external challenges. But this is exactly the key to Stoic wisdom. While many believe that they need to change the world around them to find peace, the Stoics argue that changing your mind is the real solution. Epictetus, one of the greatest exponents of Stoicism, said that it is not things that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them. This means that the chaos we perceive around us is often not an objective reality, but a projection of our internal state. When we are in a state of calm, we are able to perceive life's challenges more clearly and deal with them more effectively. The key question here is, how can we begin to change our perspective? How can we control our internal environment so that it provides us with peace, regardless of what is happening externally? In Stoicism, calm is seen as a virtue. It is the starting point for all other Stoic virtues, such as courage, wisdom, and justice. Without calm, our minds become clouded, and we are unable to make rational decisions or act in accordance with our principles. Calm gives us clarity, and with clarity, we can face challenges with greater confidence. But calm is not something that just happens. It is cultivated through practice. This is where Stoic philosophy comes in as a practical tool for everyday life. By applying Stoic principles, we can train our minds to remain calm even in the most challenging situations. One of the cornerstones of Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is beyond our control. This concept is simple, yet transformative. The Stoics believe that by focusing exclusively on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, and by calmly accepting what is beyond our control, we can achieve lasting peace. Imagine how this could impact your life. How often do we worry about things that are completely out of our control? The actions of other people, the state of the economy, the weather. These are all things we cannot change. But what we can change is our response to these circumstances. By adopting this mindset, the world around us begins to seem less chaotic because we realize that we are not responsible for fixing everything. Our responsibility lies with our own mind and behavior. Now let's look at some Stoic practices that you can start applying today to cultivate this inner calm and in turn, create an environment of peace around you. 1. Daily reflection, Stoic journaling. The Stoics recommended the practice of daily reflection, where at the end of each day you take stock of your actions, thoughts, and emotions. This helps keep your mind focused on what's important and adjust your attitude toward daily challenges. 2. The meditation on death, memento mori. By reflecting on the impermanence of life, the Stoics found deep peace. By reminding ourselves that death is inevitable, we free ourselves from fear and appreciate the present moment. This helps us see that many of the problems we perceive as big are actually insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Number 3. Negative visualization. This practice involves imagining worst-case scenarios, not to create fear, but to mentally prepare ourselves for any eventuality. By imagining the worst-case scenario, we are better equipped to deal calmly with challenges when they arise. 4. Acceptance. The Stoics believed in the concept of amor fati, which means loving fate. This involves accepting everything that happens, whether good or bad, as part of the fabric of life. When we accept what happens to us as necessary and inevitable, we free ourselves from the mental resistance that creates suffering. By practicing these principles, we begin to notice a shift. Our minds become calmer, our thoughts become clearer, and our surroundings, which once seemed out of control, begin to align with our new inner perspective. This is the essence of the Stoic message. Peace is not something we find in the external world. It is something we create from within. Imagine for a moment, what would it be like to wake up each day with the unshakable certainty that no matter the circumstances, you have the power to shape your state of mind? What would it be like to live knowing that your peace and tranquility are not dependent on external factors, that you are the true architect of your own reality? The Stoics teach us that this is not a distant utopia, but rather a real and accessible possibility, available to all of us if we are willing to change the way we see the world. After all, how often do we let the chaos of everyday life dictate how we feel? How often do we give our emotional power away to situations that are completely beyond our control? What if, instead of reacting, we could respond deliberately, with poise, with unshakable serenity? Wouldn't we be better equipped to face life's adversities with confidence and courage? If you want peace, stop fighting what you cannot change. This is one of the Stoics' most profound lessons. They understood that much of our suffering comes from resistance to what is. We want things to be different from what they are. We resist hardship, suffering, loss, frustration. But the world does not obey our wills. The sun rises, time passes, people come and go. What do we really have then, besides our own minds? Here comes the real question. Do we waste our energy trying to fight the winds of life, or can we learn to navigate them wisely? This Stoic acceptance is not resignation, far from it. It is a form of liberation. By accepting reality, you free yourself from the burden of trying to control it. And in that freedom, you find space to act powerfully and effectively. Imagine, for example, that you are stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting. Your nerves start to flare, frustration builds, and stress fills your body. But now you remember, traffic is out of your control. Your anger or frustration won't change the situation. The only thing you have control over is how you choose to react. This simple act of accepting what you can't change dissolves stress, and suddenly you find yourself at peace, even in the midst of chaos. One of the most powerful ideas of Stoicism is that every challenge, every difficulty is an opportunity in disguise. The obstacle is the path, said Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor. This phrase encapsulates one of the most profound principles of Stoic philosophy. The problems we encounter are not barriers in our path, but the path itself. They shape us, they strengthen us, they make us wiser and more resilient. Think of a difficult situation you've been through. Maybe it was a loss, a failure, a disappointment. At the time, these circumstances may have seemed overwhelming, but when you look back, do you see how that experience made you grow? The Stoics believed that every hardship was a chance to practice virtue, to show courage, patience, resilience. Rather than fearing challenges, they embraced them as opportunities for personal transformation. So ask yourself, how can you turn the challenges you're facing right now into opportunities? What if, instead of seeing them as enemies, you saw them as teachers? This shift in perspective can completely transform the way you interact with the world. Calmness as the key to wisdom. Have you ever noticed that in moments of great pressure or tension, it is difficult to think clearly? When we are agitated, our decisions tend to be impulsive, reactive, and often wrong. Stoicism teaches us that calmness is not only desirable, it is essential to wisdom. Without calmness, we cannot access our best selves. We cannot listen to our intuition or make rational, balanced decisions. The Stoics spoke of the importance of cultivating a calm mind, comparing it to a calm lake. When the water is agitated, it reflects distortions, fragmented images. but when it is calm, we can see the reflection of reality clearly. The same thing happens with our mind. Only in a state of calm can we see situations for what they really are and make wise decisions. But how do we achieve this calm? How do we maintain serenity in such a fast-paced world where distractions and problems seem to surround us on all sides? Another fundamental principle of Stoicism is the practice of focusing on the present moment. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, Seneca said. How often have you found yourself worrying about what might happen in the future? Or dwelling on past mistakes, feeling regret or guilt? These worries take us out of the present, away from the reality that is before us, and plunge us into a spiral of anxiety. The Stoics teach us that the only moment we truly possess is the present. The past is gone, and the future has not yet arrived. When we learn to anchor our minds in the now, we experience a profound calm, as we realize that the present moment is all that truly matters. By practicing this mindfulness, we not only find peace, but we also become more effective in everything we do, because we are fully focused on the moment. So ask yourself, where is your mind right now? Is it caught up in worries about the future, or is it wandering in the past? Why not bring your attention back to the present and realize the transformative power of this moment? Ultimately, the peace we all seek is a direct reflection of our daily actions. Every choice we make, every thought we entertain, every action we take shapes our internal environment. Stoicism reminds us that if we want to live in peace, we must act in a way that is aligned with our principles. We must cultivate virtues such as patience, wisdom, and courage in our daily lives. Peace, after all, is not something we find. It is something we build, day after day, choice after choice. And the more we practice, the more we become masters in the art of living with serenity, even when everything around us seems to be in disarray. So as I conclude this video, I want to ask you one last question. How can you start creating your own peace starting today? The power is in your hands, and more importantly, in your mind. The Stoic way, how to act in the face of difficulties. Now I ask you, how do you react when the unexpected happens? When life throws you an obstacle that seems impossible to overcome? Do you give in to frustration, anger, or get stuck in a cycle of worry? Or can you step back, take a deep breath, and deal with the situation in a calm, collected manner? If you find yourself constantly getting swept up in the emotional tides of events, don't feel bad. It's a human response. We've all been victims of our own reactions at some point. But here's the good news. The Stoics believe that we can train our minds to respond differently, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. With practice, you can turn every challenge into an opportunity for growth. Lesson 1. Start by observing your reactions. Change begins with awareness. The next time you find yourself in a difficult situation, I want you to pause. Don't do anything right away. Just notice what's going on inside you. What's the first emotion that comes up? Anger? Anxiety? Frustration? Identify that emotion. Name it. Why is this important? Because when you name an emotion, you separate yourself from it. Instead of getting lost in it, you observe it from a more neutral place. I am angry right now is very different from I am anger. This simple act of recognition puts you back in control. The Stoics believe that emotions are natural, but the problem arises when we allow them to overwhelm us. If you can observe your anger, fear, or frustration from a position of detachment, you have already taken the first step toward calm. Lesson 2. Ask yourself what is in your control. Here's the most powerful practice of the Stoics. Whenever you face a problem, ask yourself, what in this situation is in my control? You can't control the actions of others. You can't change the past. You can't control the weather, the traffic, or someone else's behavior. But you can control your response to all of these things. Imagine that someone at work insults you or acts unfairly. Your instinct may be to retaliate, to raise your voice, or to harbor resentment. But does that help? Does it make the situation better? The truth is, when you react emotionally, you are giving your power away to the other person. Now, the person controlling your peace is not you, but the other person. So instead of reacting immediately, remember the Stoic lesson. This is out of my control. What is in your control is how you choose to respond. And in that moment, you can choose calm. You can choose self-control. And guess what? This not only preserves your peace, but it also impacts the environment around you. Lesson 3. Practice negative visualization. Now this may sound strange, but I want you to do an exercise. Start imagining the worst-case scenarios before you face a situation. Yes, this is exactly what the Stoics did. They called this practice premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization. By imagining the worst that could happen, you mentally prepare yourself. What happens when you prepare for the worst? You free yourself from fear. Fear arises from uncertainty, from lack of control. But when you have visualized and accepted the worst, that fear loses its power over you. And then, when the situation happens, whether good or bad, you are ready. If the worst doesn't happen, you experience relief. If the worst does happen, you are already mentally equipped to deal with it. And here's the secret. This practice doesn't make you a negative person. On the contrary, it makes you more resilient and realistic. You become someone who is not easily shaken because you have faced fear head-on in your mind and conquered it. Lesson 4. Live in the moment with acceptance. Another central teaching of the Stoics is the concept of amor fati, loving fate. This means accepting everything that happens in life, whether good or bad, as part of your path. Not resisting, not fighting against what cannot be changed, but accepting with an open heart. But how do you do this? How do you love what seems unacceptable? The key is to recognize that every event in life, even the most painful ones, carries within it an opportunity for growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? Or, how can this difficulty make me a better person? When you change your perspective and see each event as a lesson, suffering diminishes. The resistance that used to leave you in tatters begins to dissolve, and you discover a new way of living. A way of living at peace with what is, without losing your ability to act. Lesson 5. Be grateful for the small moments of peace. Now here's something simple but incredibly powerful, the practice of gratitude. The Stoics were masters of appreciating the present. They believed that by cultivating a sense of gratitude, even in the smallest things, we are training our minds to focus on the positive, rather than getting caught up in worries. Today, I want you to practice gratitude. It can be something simple, the warmth of the sun, the taste of coffee in the morning, the quiet sound of rain. Appreciate it deeply. Take a moment to really feel gratitude well up inside you. The more you train your mind to notice these small blessings, the more peace you will find, even in the midst of life's storms. And it's not about ignoring problems or pretending bad things don't happen. It's about training your mind to see that even on dark days, there is light. Peace is not the absence of chaos, it's the presence of a calm mind in the midst of it. Lesson 6. Create your own calm. It all comes down to one thing. You are responsible for creating your own environment of calm and peace. No matter what is going on around you, you have the power to shape your inner reality. And in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but you profoundly impact those around you. People will sense this calm in you. They will be drawn to your serenity, and before you know it, you will begin to create an external environment that reflects the tranquility you have cultivated within yourself. Remember, peace is not something you find out there. Peace is something you build within yourself. So the next time the world feels chaotic and out of control, I want you to pause. Take a deep breath. Remember the power you have to control your mind. Remember that you are the architect of your own peace. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for dedicating your time and attention to absorbing these ideas and reflecting on how Stoicism can transform your life. It's incredible to know that there are people like you who are willing to seek growth, inner transformation, and the creation of an environment of peace amidst the chaos of the modern world. To my subscribers, my deepest gratitude. You are the reason this channel exists and continues to grow. Every like, every comment, every share makes this message reach more people. It's inspiring to see the community we're building together. Thank you very, very much. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I invite you to subscribe now and be part of this journey with us. Be sure to click the subscribe button, activate the bell to receive all notifications, and of course, share this video with anyone you believe can also benefit from this powerful philosophy. Let's continue learning, evolving, and above all, creating an inner world of peace and serenity together. See you in the next video.